Hola! Welcome to my channel, The Golden Stitch. My name is Alejandra and I'm a Mexican living in Scotland. And today I'm presenting to you 12 beautiful spring patterns perfect for cherry blossom season. Hi friends, I hope you're doing well. Today is the first Sunday of spring as I am recording this video, although probably it will take about a week for me to edit it, so it might take some time for you to actually see this. In this channel, I am sharing with you my journey as a beginner knitter, and I like to create videos of pattern roundups, of things I find inspirational, and I also like to share traditional knitting podcast videos, sharing with you the patterns and the projects I am creating, my works in progress, and any new things I buy. And I also create videos of project vlogs that things I am working on. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, I invite you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future videos. But as I am recording this video, it has been a couple of beautiful days here in Scotland. Sunny, it's still a little bit chilly, but sunny for a change because we had a really brutal winter with a lot of rain. So I'm really excited for finally spring to come. Spring is my second favorite season. Autumn is my absolute favorite season, but spring is really, really beautiful. It didn't used to be the case because I'm originally from Mexico, and in Mexico it used to be, in the city that I'm originally from, it used to be really, really hot. Around April, May, it used to be the hottest time of the year, and it was really unbearable, around 40 degrees. So it didn't used to be my favorite season. And then I also lived in Canada for a while, and it wasn't also my favorite season because there was a lot of snow still in around April, and it will take forever to melt, and you will just feel like winter was hanging on for very, very long. But finally, around May, you will see beautiful flowers popping out, especially tulips, which are my favorite flower. That's why I have them here with me today. And it will just bring life to the city, and it will be really, really beautiful, like everything, rebirth of everything. So ever since I moved to Scotland a couple of years ago, I started to truly appreciate spring. First, because you get to see some gorgeous, beautiful colors, and then you get to see finally some sun. And here in Scotland, you start seeing first the snowdrops, and then you get to see the daffodils, and then the tulips start popping out, and then you get to see the bluebells and all the beautiful spring flowers with all gorgeous colors. And also last year, we got a really beautiful cherry blossom season that got me obsessed. Ever since then, I've been thinking about cherry blossoms, and I really want to put one in my front garden one day. Maybe this year, maybe next year, we'll see. But truly, I've been obsessed thinking about cherry blossoms. It was beautiful here in Scotland last year. Every year is kind of different because it can get quite windy here, so the cherry blossom season can be quite short. It's usually around April, May that you get to see the beautiful cherry blossom trees, but I'm really, really looking forward to it. And that got me inspired and thinking about some beautiful patterns that are perfect for cherry blossom season. Now, what do I mean by cherry blossom inspired patterns? It doesn't mean that the designers had particularly that in mind when they designed the pieces, but it's more like I'm thinking about feminine, delicate pieces, usually with a lot of lace or also lots of mohair. So that's what got me thinking into the vibe of something perfect for cherry blossom season. And now these patterns are not specifically to be knitted in pink color, although I have chosen to do it in pink because I got the inspiration from a cherry blossom, and I wanted to really portray that inspiration into my knitting. So I have curated a list of 12 patterns with varied levels of difficulty for you. And there's lots of mohair, but if you are sensitive to mohair, don't worry, because I have a recommendation of a video by Nikitina Knits. I'm gonna link it below. She is my yarn guru. She really has truly the best knowledge when it comes to yarn. And she has a great video of alternatives to mohair. So if any of these patterns look appealing to you, but you are not a fan of mohair or you are very sensitive to it, then I recommend you check out her video to see some alternatives where you can knit these patterns. So I have created a Ravelry bundle for the patterns that I'm sharing with you today, which are all inspired by this cherry blossom theme. And I have also included many other patterns that I couldn't include in this video because it will be too long, and also because some of them I already included in my previous video. If you haven't watched it, please check it out. It's about beginner-friendly cardigans, and a lot of them have also these kind of ethereal or lacy, flary vibe that goes very well with the whole cherry blossom spring theme. If you see me looking down, it's because I have my laptop here with a list of all the patterns, so I can look at all the details, look at the pictures, so I can describe them to you. And I will pop a picture here with me so you can see it as well. So grab your needles, grab a drink, and let's get started. So the first pattern that I'm gonna share with you is actually the one I'm wearing. I just finished it today. It's right off the needles. I didn't even block it. I don't feel like it needs blocking because the gauge is so big that it allows it to have imperfections and doesn't show too much, although eventually I might give it a steam block or a wet block just to see if it changes the way it looks right now. I am in love with this pattern. It was the whole reason why I decided to record this video and where the inspiration came from. Because when I saw this pattern, which is the Frederikke Sweater by Kolibri by Johanna, it is originally knitted in a beautiful white color, and it has some pictures that it look maybe like kind of a bridal look, and I fell in love with it. I knew I had to do it because I was looking for exactly this pattern. I saw different similar patterns that were with a strand of mohair in a very large gauge, and I wanted to do that, but I knew I wanted balloon sleeves because I am obsessed with balloon sleeves, and especially for this specific cherry blossom vibe, I had in mind a balloon sleeve. I don't know why, it was like kind of the vibe that I was going for. So these are super relaxed balloon sleeves that they were a delight to knit because it only took me 3 weeks for the entire piece, and I'm a beginner knitter, so I think it was really easy to knit. The pattern was really easy to follow. It's just plain stockinette. It's a drop shoulder construction. You start with the back panel, and then you pick up stitches for the shoulders, and then you join in the round, and you continue until the hem, which is a twisted rib, and then also the neckline is twisted rib, and then you pick up stitches for the sleeves, and there's no decreases right until the end because of the balloon characteristic, and then the cuffs are also in half twisted rib. So it was super easy. These techniques I had used in the only sweater I have ever finished before, so it wasn't any difficult to pick it up. It was perhaps a little bit slippery with only the one strand of mohair, but it was totally doable for a beginner. So if you like any of these patterns and you feel intimidated by it because you're also a beginner, I will encourage you to do it because the result is really quick and satisfying, unlike some smaller gauge that can take months to knit. This took me 3 weeks, and I'm sure if you are a more experienced knitter, perhaps you can do it in 2 or less time. So I'm super happy with the result, and I use the yarn Isager Mohair, and the color I believe is 27, and I had only used 5 skeins of yarn, although I have almost like a full skein left here. I had to start the second one because for the cuffs, neck, and the hem is using 2 strands, so I had to start from a new skein and also to make the sleeves on a full skein. So I had like a little bit left of one, and then almost a full skein of one. I think perhaps it's not enough to be the full 25 grams. I still have to weight it to see, but perhaps it was like 4 and a little bit of the 5th skein that I had to use. This mohair, I had seen many videos recommended it, and they were right because it is so soft. I don't think I'm a very sensitive person to mohair. I have tried mohair before for accessories, and I haven't found it particularly itchy, but I have heard that Isayer mohair was one of the softest, and I was really curious to try it, but I didn't want to buy like a full sweaters quantity and spend too much money because as a second strand, because then on top of that it will be the cost of the merino or whatever yarn I was holding it with. So I wanted to try it by itself to see if the rumors were true about the softness. And I have to say, at least from my perspective and my skin type, it is super soft, and I absolutely recommend it. And I will definitely knit with it again if I have the chance. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a great selection of colors, which was my issue originally. But when I saw this color, I thought it was gonna be a really good choice for the project I had chosen, and it was going with the vibe of cherry blossom. I don't really wear pastel colors or kind of baby pink. Perhaps this is the only piece I have in my wardrobe. I don't think it suits my skin color very well, but I was just truly obsessed with this idea, and I wanted to knit it regardless of if it suits me or not. And the way I try to compensate for it is by choosing a tank top underneath to wear that is a little bit brighter to lift up the color, because I think I tend to suit more saturated colors. So I think this works okay. Yeah, perhaps like I'm not gonna continue knitting in so many pastel colors, but today's video is all about that because it's spring, and yes, it is not groundbreaking as pastel colors for spring is kind of a cliche, but I also think there's a reason for it. You can see it in nature, you can see it everywhere, and it's truly inspiring to also incorporate it into the pieces that you knit. I'm a knitter that tends to get inspired by the season, so I'm quite of a seasonal knitter, and I think this list is truly a reflection of that. But going back to the pattern, as I said, this is with one strand of mohair, so that makes this pattern a lace weight. The recommended yarn is Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair. It comes in 9 sizes. And the recommended ease is 20 to 30 centimeters of positive ease, and for finished bust circumferences ranging from 113 centimeters to 182 centimeters. I have chosen to knit the size medium. I originally planned to cast the size large, but when I checked the measurements for my bust size, which is like 98 centimeters is my bust size, the recommended size was medium, so I decided to go with it, and I'm really happy with the fit. I think it was the right size choice. And the sleeves are really relaxed. I believe the medium and the large size has the same size of sleeves, so I didn't see an issue with that. And yeah, I'm super happy with the result. I can't wait to have cherry blossoms around here so I can take some pictures and feel like I'm part of the whole ecosystem. I don't know. So yeah, I will recommend this pattern, and I will do it again in a different color, definitely. The white one looks really beautiful. I truly think this type of pattern shines better in lighter colors, even though my heart tells me to do it in a burgundy, because burgundy is my absolute favorite color, and I always want to knit everything in burgundy. But I also love to experiment with color, and I'm very pleased that I took the risk with this pastel color that, even though doesn't go with most of the things I wear, I think it is satisfying that that idea that I had of having a top like this. And next, I have another pattern by Kolibri by Johanna. In fact, if you go check her Ravelry page and all her patterns, this suits perfectly the vibe that I'm describing. Everything looks very ethereal, very lacy, very flary, very feminine, delicate, which is the whole inspiration of this video. So it was really hard for me to choose only 3 patterns by this designer, because I could probably record a whole video of her and her patterns following this spring vibe. So if you haven't seen any of her patterns, I would highly recommend you go check out her Ravelry page, because she has the most beautiful, amazing patterns. So the next one is the Electrine Cardigan, also by Kolibri by Johanna. And it has these beautiful bell sleeves in very delicate lace. And it's a DK weight. It is achieved holding together a merino plus a mohair. At least that's the recommended yarn. But you can always choose your favorite DK. But I would say try to choose something that has the same amount of drape, so that you get this effect and the lace shines the way it is intended to. This is a more advanced difficulty, but she does offer full knitting tutorials on YouTube to follow step by step. It has these beautiful I-cord edgings that I think gives it a really polished touch. And it also has this I-cord belt that you can choose to go with or without, but I think it truly gives it a really nice shape. And it is a gorgeous, gorgeous design. The little buttons are so dainty and delicate that I think completes this piece perfectly. The pattern model is in a little lavender color, which I think makes the whole lace motif really truly shine. And it is intended to be worn with 5 to 15 centimeters of positive ease for sizes of finished circumference ranging from 19.5 centimeters to 162.5 centimeters. It is truly a piece of art, and I think it goes quite well with the whole spring vibe. And if you're not a fan of baby pink, you can choose any other color that you may like, but keeping in mind that usually lighter colors tend to show these lace motifs way better. And the third pattern by Kolibri by Johanna is this Theodore Wrap, which has a beautiful, beautiful lace finished along the edges of the collar and the neck. And it is a reversible pattern, which I thought it was really, really cool. It is intended for a fingering weight, although it is holding a fingering plus lace weight. So perhaps just check, that sounds more like a DK, but it is a 17 stitch by 26 rows for the gauge. So as long as you're meeting gauge, perhaps if you want to swap the mohair and merino, you can try to find something that meets that gauge. It is available also in 9 sizes ranging from 87 to 148 centimeters, and it is intended to be worn with a positive ease from 5 to 10 centimeters. The whole design is achieved with raglan increases along the arms, and the lace border is worked separately and then sewn into the neckline of the cardigan using a matrix stitch. This is meant to be a medium difficulty level. I can see that attaching the lace part might be the most challenging part for this, but I also saw some projects finished on Ravelry that omitted the lace part. So if you're not too much of a fan of lace, or perhaps you are too intimidated by it, I think this also looks beautiful without the lace. This wrap cardigan can stand on its own, and it has some beautiful also kind of a balloon, but not as loose as these ones. A little bit of a balloon shaped sleeve that gives it a really really nice touch. And the wrap is also super beautiful. I believe it's in, I don't know if it's in double knitting, the wrap, but it gives it a really nice touch to finish it. The next two patterns I am sharing with you are also by a designer that has me mesmerized. I truly aspire to one day create some of her patterns. They're a little bit intimidated for my level at the moment, but I truly think that is one of my ultimate goals is to knit one of her patterns. They are all so gorgeous, and these also, like the designer before, if you take a look at her Ravelry page, it is full of really truly feminine, dainty, delicate pieces that truly go with the whole vibe of this video. And it was also very difficult to choose only two patterns of her collection to include in this video. But I decided to include the Frou sweater, and her name is Camille K. And this pattern is a sport, is meant to be a sport weight pattern, and the recommended yarn is yarn by Simone MT, which is a 50% merino and a 50% tencel or lyocell. It features this large lace ruffle that truly makes this unique, with a deep V-neck front and back and an I-cord edging. It comes in 6 sizes with finished circumference ranging from 82 centimeters to 128 centimeters. And it recommends between 5 centimeters of negative ease and 6 centimeters of positive ease. It is intended to be a 3 out of 5 for difficulty level, and I imagine the lace part is the part that will be the trickiest. But it is truly a beautiful piece. I have seen her wearing these on different Instagram posts that I follow her on Instagram, and I have seen her wearing it, and it is truly beautiful. And one day I hope to have time to have the skills to knit this pattern, because it doesn't even look hand knitted. It looks store-bought, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And the next pattern by the same designer, Camille K, is the Blooming Dream Tee, which is this gorgeous t-shirt that features this open back with a really feminine, nice bow on the top. It is intended to be a sport weight, and the recommended yarn is 100% merino wool. Although if you live more in a warm climate, I'm sure you can switch these with cotton or a linen yarn that suits your climate better. But this piece is truly beautiful. I think all her pieces look like they're store-bought, and you really have to admire her designing skills, because I think they're quite unique. This comes in 6 sizes, and it is intended to be worn with 0 to 5 centimeters of positive ease, and it ranges from 85 centimeters and 120 of finished bust circumference. It features, as I mentioned, this truly beautiful dainty bow. It has lace running through the shoulder and also below the arm and the side of the body. And the difficulty is between a 3 and a 4 out of 5. And you can either make it cropped or long. She mentions that if you make it cropped, it looks truly beautiful with skirts or on top of skirts or shorts. And she does say that even though it has some complicated techniques, she does explain these with step-by-step videos. So again, one day I hope to have the skill level to knit a shirt like this, and I believe it's truly beautiful. And I mean, she's just posing next to the trees, and I think it becomes part of the scenery. It becomes part of the landscape, because I think it is a gorgeous, gorgeous tee. And next, I have a few patterns that are really vintage inspired, but they also look super feminine. And I think they also follow this vibe that I'm thinking about for spring. The first one is Wondrella by Tasha Moss, and it's this fun and flirty bat wing sleeve cardigan, and it's the ideal vintage sweater to dress up an outfit. I agree. And the designer says that the modified drop shoulder body is seamlessly knit bottom up, and the dramatic 1950s inspired bat wing sleeves are knit down from the armhole, and the peekaboo slit neckline, which I think is truly what makes these so unique. It is easy to modify higher or lower depending on how your taste prefers. It is trimmed with an I-cord bow and top off with either a simple plain neckband or a small collar. I truly like both. I cannot make my mind which one I prefer. I think it looks gorgeous in both. Perhaps one and one. If I only had enough time and more hands to knit all, but it is a very beautiful cardigan that I think will look amazing on top of dresses or even trousers. I mean, the way she's styling this, it truly looks very vintage, and I love this look. It really suits her, and I have been dreaming about a vintage crop cardigan to go on top of dresses, and this is one of the contender patterns that I'm thinking about knitting in the future, but if only I had enough time. And the clear detail instructions make this pattern suitable for adventurous beginners as well as seasoned knitters alike. And Wondrella will be the fussy vintage sweater of your dreams. I agree. It is one of my dreams to have a cardigan like this. It does, the designer does provide a playlist of videos on YouTube with a knit along. I believe it was from 2023, the knit along, if I remember correctly. So it has a full playlist of videos detailing each one of the parts. So if you're a beginner, I believe following these videos can be very helpful to learn some new techniques. I'm really curious to see how the little peekaboo detail is done. So hopefully one day I will have time to knit this pattern. It comes in 11 sizes, ranging from 77 centimeters to 158 centimeters of bust circumference, and it is intended to be worn from 2.5 to 7.5 centimeters of negative ease. It's quite a fitted garment. It has, as I mentioned, the two neck options, either the regular neckband with the ribbon or the little collar. They're both gorgeous. I believe the polo neck is quite trendy these days, so this is perhaps an option to consider. It is also recommended to be DK weight, holding fingering and lace alpaca or an alpaca silk or mohair together. I really like this bubblegum pink that, even though it's not quite cherry blossom color, I think next to a cherry blossom it will look amazing. And next, this is another truly vintage looking pattern, and it is the mount blouse by Fable Knitwear. And I mean, if you look at this, doesn't it look like it's coming from a painting? It is absolutely gorgeous. The puffy sleeves, the little lace details, the little cinch detail on the sleeves, everything looks just stunning. The mount blouse is a romantic knit inspired by the blouses and bodices worn by Queen Maud in the early 19s. By the way, I hope it's pronounced Maud. I apologize if I'm butchering any of these names. I truly try to make my best effort to pronounce, but sometimes I can make mistakes, so I apologize for that. It has a twisted mock turtleneck that closes to the back with a row of buttons and a simplistic and elegant lace panel on the bust and the cuffs. The sleeves are puffed, ending in a blousing lace cuff that it flows over the elbow. I think the length is perfect for this blouse for the style. I truly think it's a fantastic design. It is knit using 2 strands of mohair held together, and it comes in 8 sizes ranging from 80 centimeters to 142, and it's intended to be worn with 0 centimeters of ease. And so yeah, this is lace plus lace. Is still, according to the pattern, is still a lace weight, but I think the two pieces of the 2 strands of mohair held together give this piece a truly ethereal, a truly vintage look, and it's perfect for this pattern. The next pattern is the Ophelia Tank and Top by Tamara Jordan, and I truly like this pattern because it has at least three options of sleeve length. So you can either make it a tank top, you can make it a short sleeve, or you can make it a long sleeve with a little bit of a bell shape. And I really, really love when designers have many options for modifications, so you can really take advantage of the pattern and you can adjust it, or you can maybe need different versions of it. I think it makes it really, really worth it, and it's very generous of the designers when they do this type of modifications in the pattern. This is intended to be knit in fingering weight, and the recommended yarn is knitting for olive in pure silk. Although if you don't have knitting for olive in pure silk available to you, or perhaps it might be too expensive, there are some popular choices in the knitted projects that are either using linen or merino. It comes in 9 available sizes, ranging from 71 to 157 centimeters of bust circumference, and this is meant to be an intermediate level. It features some German short rows, and there's a crochet picot border, so you need to use crochet, or you can always omit the picot and just do the lace part that is part of the knitting. I really think this top looks beautiful in all versions. I love the one with the long sleeve, I love the tank top, I love the short sleeve, so it would be really difficult to choose one of them. But thankfully, if you buy the pattern, then you can have all 3, and then maybe you can knit one of each color. It features this really beautiful lace pattern along the V-neck, and then you can choose to knit it on the sleeve of whatever option you choose to knit, and also on the hem. And it's a vintage inspired top that breezes over your curves, and this is a description by the designer. The Ophelia tank top was designed as a more modest little sister to the Ophelia blouse pattern. It is worked on a whispered light fabric from 1 strand of fingering weight pure silk yarn, and finished with lace and crochet picot edges. This tank top comes in 9 sizes, as I mentioned, and it includes suggestions on how to do a fully customized to unique shape. So I think this is also truly generous. I saw there were some options to do a slit open, like split open around the hem, and it has instructions on how to adjust it to your body size. So even though it comes in 9 sizes, perhaps you can adjust to a different size if it has enough instructions for it. I think this is fantastic. I wish more designers would include these kind of notes in their designs. And next, I have a pattern by one of my absolute favorite designers, Lily Kate France, and it is the Slow Down Sweater. I truly admire how Lily Kate can make any simple piece look more elevated by simply adding some unique details that makes it look so unique, dainty, feminine, and absolutely gorgeous. This is meant to be a super simple sweater, but just by adding this simple detail on the neck and the sleeve makes it so unique. It is a palette cleansing knit to slow down in. A sheer mohair neckline provides the perfect opportunity to play with color. You can make it match like the sample knit that she made, or you can make choose a contrast color to make it stripe, or make whatever combination of your desire. It comes in 9 sizes ranging from 71 centimeters to 157 centimeters of bust circumference, and it is meant to be knitted in a worsted weight and laced for the little mohair detail that is on the neck and the cuff. The recommended worsted yarn that she mentions is one by her own brand, I believe, and it's a 90% merino and 10% suri alpaca. I've been really curious about this brand of hers, and perhaps this pattern will be a perfect opportunity to try it out. Although I do have 2 of her patterns and currently sitting in my library, so first I have to get to those, and I also have a super long queue. So one day I'll get to her patterns, but truly, if you look at her Ravelry page, pretty much any pattern I would like to have in my wardrobe, any piece of hers, it is truly a work of art, as I keep repeating myself. The construction is work from the top down. Stitches are cast on across the upper back and worked flat to the armhole, then set aside, then stitches are picked up around the shoulders to work the front separately before joining the bottom and the neck opening. The main body is worked in the round without shaping, and then short rows are used to gently lower the back hem. A sheer neckband is picked up and knitted in lace weight yarn, which is like the mohair part here, and then there are also stitches are picked up around the armhole to work the sleeves in the round. And there are some short rows are used in the sleeves to create the shallow sleeve caps that improves the fit of the drop shoulder. I think she has a great attention to detail. From all her pieces I can see she puts great effort on all the shaping that she does, which is why I will dream and I would love to knit one of her pieces pretty soon. I have the Winnie sweater next on my queue. So yeah, that is one that I'm really looking forward to knit. And then there's gradual decreases through the sleeve and before a rapid decrease to gather the cuff so that it has also a sort of balloon sleeve, I believe. And then both cuffs and the hem are finished with rib and a small amount of the sheer lace weight. This color is gorgeous, and even though, as I said, with the other previous, and even though it doesn't come in baby pink, you can either knit it on baby pink for give it a cherry blossom vibe, or even this by itself in this color. I think it will look great next to a cherry blossom. And the next pattern, also by Lily Kate France, is the Lavinia Sweater. And this is another example of mohair sweater that features some cables to make an effect. It's like a polka dot effect. It comes in 9 sizes ranging from 71 centimeters to 157 centimeters. It's intended to be worn with 18 centimeters of positive ease. And in her words, an ethereal, breezy knit with cables that turn into polka dots when the light shines through. I've seen some samples of this pattern knitted in different yarns, not necessarily mohair, and they all look gorgeous. Although I do love a see-through top with mohair, I have to say. I mean, you can see by the piece I'm wearing. So, if you're not a fan of mohair or see-through pieces, then you can check out the other options available. And as long as you're meeting the gauge, then this pattern looks beautiful in both options. I really like the simple neck that she chose, and all the details. I mean, she really pays attention to all the details, and it makes this piece look really elegant and put together. And then finally, I have 2 scarf patterns. The first one is the Star Jasmine mini scarf by Ksenia Naidion. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name. This is intended to be knitted with fingering size, but since it's a scarf, I'm sure you can adjust to any yarn that you might have in scrap. And it comes in 2 sizes and is an elegant, classy, like the aroma of star jasmine flowers. I mean, this is not technically cherry blossom, but it goes with the whole floral theme, and I still think it will look amazing next to a cherry blossom. And it is a mini scarf. It is perfect for leftover yarn that is or a special skein on your stash that you're waiting to cast on. I truly like the little flower stitch, and she does have a whole collection of featuring this stitch. It comes with a headband, a cardigan, a pullover, and a shawl besides these scarves. But I truly like the scarf in both the small and the larger options. This scarf is worked from tip to tip with a built-in I-cord edging, and the stitch pattern is composed by 2x1 rib, and the dip stitches are worked once in a few rows to make that effect of the flower. This pattern is both charted and written out with videos for the deep stitches provided, so I think it will be beginner friendly if you follow the videos, or if you're an adventurous beginner, I would say. But I have a whole collection of single skeins that I'm looking to knit in different scarves, and this is a high contender on my list. I have a Sophie scarf and I use it a lot, and ever since I discovered that I truly find small scarves useful and versatile, I've been wanting to, I have like a whole list of scarves that I have like available to have on the go. In fact, I have a trip coming up and I'm gonna be casting on one of the scarves, not this one, a different one, but I'm looking forward to also knitting this one. And next is another lacy scarf. It's the Flora Scarf by Along Avec Anna. It's a decade weight scarf, although I also think because it's a scarf, it can be slightly adjusted depending on what size you want and the yarn that you have available. It's a small scarf with slightly triangular shape and beautiful lace and I-cord border, and it's knitted using 2 strands held together, one of merino fingering and one of silk mohair, for a soft, delicate result. This pattern includes the PDF with charts, but there's also a second PDF with written instructions in case you prefer written instructions. And it comes in 1 size and it's meant to be 94 by 28 centimeters if you follow gauge, if you meet gauge. I truly like this pattern. In fact, it was I almost chose this to knit next, but because I'm gonna be on the go and it has, in my opinion, a more complex lace motif. I mean, maybe it's not that hard, but I'm still a beginner, so I felt a little bit intimidated by knitting lace like this on the go. But it is absolutely on my list of all the small scarves that I will knit one day in the future when I have enough time. And I really like the shape of these. I think it's perfect for spring and summer. It is quite on trend with all the scarves that are becoming really popular, that are more like a bandana kind of around the shoulders type of scarves. And the Flora lace motif is really, really beautiful. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments which one was your favorite patterns. Let me know, are you also obsessed with cherry blossoms or just perhaps with the spring? Please let me know in the comments, what are you currently knitting? What are you looking forward to knit this spring? And if you like my video, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out on future pattern roundup videos and upcoming updates on what I am knitting. Thanks for watching. Bye!